Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhari Giridhari Radhikaran Giriju Ki Jai Ho. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janabalava Givaradhari. Gopi Janabalava Givaradhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjanan. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjanan. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janabalava Givaradhari. Gopi Janabalava Givaradhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjanan. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjanan. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janabalava Givanadhari. Gopi Janabalava Givanadhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjanan. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjanan. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jai. Okay, first of all, I'd like to offer my heartfelt Puspanjali to the lotus feet of my Harinam Diksha Guru, our Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Second of all, to my Bhajan Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and my Guru Dev, and to Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to our entire Guru Parampara, and all the Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnavas and Gaudiya Gurus, and especially to Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur and his Madhurya Kadambini. Jai. So here we are on the banks of the Jamuna, and the Jamuna, for your information, is going down. We had a prediction we were going to get another flood, and some even said it was going to be worse than the first flood, but it only went a few centimeters up and then it went way down. But although she's very big still, she's still huge, going way across the farmers' fields. So Jamuna is still blessing us with a lot of her sweet breezes. Her sweet breezes are purifying everyone and everything for miles and miles. It's so wonderful. On the transcendental platform. On the physical platform, it's very human. It's a it's a very big challenge. But anyhow, here we are, appreciating the sweet breezes of the Jamuna and trying to just tolerate the humidity. I'll give you an example. It can be 31 degrees centigrade, and it feels like it's 45 degrees centigrade. No joke. That's what it is. So, or 41 at least. So, anyhow, we're very happy to be here in Vrindavan and very happy to be having our Madhurya Kadambini class. So we're still in the seventh shower, of Madhurya Kadambini, which is Bhav, the flow of rapture, Bhav, the flow of bhakti. That's the sprout of prem. Just the sprout of the first moon, sunshine, moon, the rising, the morning sunrise of prem. Like this. This is Bhav. So we've spoken a bit about Bhav, and really this subject matter is way above me. So I'm just praying to my Srila Prabhupada, my Srila Gurudev, to use me as an instrument, because I have not experienced Bhav, but we're trying to speak about what we've heard and what we've read here and get some kind of idea of Bhav so that we can actually practice our sudden bhakti properly. Because we've heard that sudden bhakti is not sudden bhakti unless we're striving for Bhav. If we're not striving, if our aim isn't to attain Bhav Bhakti, then it's not sudden bhakti. It's just bhakti, but it has no goal. And so it can take us here, it can take us there, but it won't take us to Bhav Bhakti unless our goal is Bhav Bhakti. So we aren't going to reach our goal unless we, first of all, know what it is, and we are eager for it. This we'll read about today, eagerness. And so many, because now we're coming to the section which is 1G. After 1G, we're going to go into text 2. We're finishing text 1. And this is the 9 symptoms of one who has Bhav. And this is given to us by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And it's the actual text is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1:3:25 to 26. I'm not going to read the Sanskrit because we'll discuss each one of the words, because there's 9 symptoms of a Bhav Bhakta. And if a Bhav Bhakta even just has just a little bit of Bhav, these symptoms will be there. The sprout of Bhav, if it's just starting to come, you will, maybe we won't, but one who is advanced in Bhakti, he will see these symptoms. And he will know, oh, there's a devotee who has attained Bhav. Now, the ordinary people, as we talked about last week, they'll just think the person's insane. They're mad. They won't understand. But for anyone who has bhakti, upper level bhakti, they will see, oh. And even the person may not be exhibiting crying, his hair standing on end, the anubhavs. This he may not have. Whereas other persons who are actual cheaters, who have practiced how to cry, how to make their hair stand on end, they may be able to do this, but they're not Bhav Bhaktas. They're actually they may not even have Shraddha, actually, because they're just expert. They practiced how to cry, like this. Or another thing that's said, also in the material world, there's many personalities, especially women, who easily cry. This is called wearing your heart on your sleeve. And they'll cry at anything, So that also is not a symptom of Bhav. So now we're going to study the actual symptoms of Bhav. If you see these symptoms, or you feel them, then, oh, this person is starting, is at least in the beginning of Bhav. So I'll give you an example of someone where we can be misguided by these external symptoms of crying like that. Srila Narayan Maharaj, Gurudev, he once told us a nice story. I think it took place in Mathura, but I'm not sure. And he said, I'm not sure it was him or someone was giving Harikatha, really beautiful Harikatha. And this one lady was sitting in the class and she was just crying and crying and crying. No, it wasn't Gurudev, it was someone else. Yeah, and she was crying and everyone was very impressed. And the speaker was impressed. So after the class, finally the person asked the lady, oh, what were you experiencing? And she said, oh, your beard, he had a beard, reminds me of my goat that had just died. And I was feeling so much separation from my goat. You see, who knows what's going on? You see, like this. We have to be so careful that we don't get tricked, especially by tears. So many devotees, even neophyte devotees, It's just a nature. They can cry, especially ladies. They can cry pretty easily, like this. So, but these symptoms that we're going to learn about today, you already know them, but we'll go over them. We'll go over them, are the indication of someone who really has bhav. So what is the first symptom? This symptom is called shantir. Shantir. And it means forbearance or perseverance, patience, peacefulness. And what does that mean? It means even when there's a reason to become very, very disturbed, any reason to become disturbed, or agitated or angry, this person does not become angry, does not become disturbed at all. Now we have to look at ourselves, and we might be able to do it every now and then, but can we really do that? If someone comes along and insults us to the max, do we feel nothing? Are we completely undisturbed? Usually not, because I, at least myself, I'm not in the level of bhav. But a person in bhav, he's so peaceful. He does it. He's so absorbed in bhav, in his relationship with Krishna. He's having spurtis in his heart, as we learned last week, of Krishna. And Krishna is so beautiful. His attachment to the material world is almost nil. Nothing. And to these material emotions, not identifying as a material body or the mind. So this is nothing. It's like Srila Bharti Maharaj once made a comment about like when some devotees are making trouble and saying things and disturbing us or something. And he said, when there's a big elephant, you have a huge elephant, and this elephant is eating grass or hay, whatever they eat, isn't it? And some little elephant or a little goat or something comes along and starts there. The elephant, it just doesn't even notice. So it's like that. These things are so insignificant. And if we understand that actually whatever is disturbing us is just the modes of material nature in action. Because it's just that person's conditioning. It's not even who they really are. It's not the spirit soul causing the disturbance. It's their conditioning. So why should we take that conditioning so seriously? It has nothing to do with reality. Actually, it's very temporary. It's just, and what is it composed of? What is our conditioning composed of? Ignorance. And from ignorance, what do you got? Lust, envy. So we shouldn't be surprised that other persons are acting that way, because that's what the conditioning's made of. That's what the material nature, our material natures as conditioned soul is composed of. Identification with the material body. This is mine, that's mine. I am this, I am that. So, and we're very envious if someone's got more than us, like this. So of course, someone may say something, may do something like that. But a bhav bhakta, what to speak of a premi bhakta, completely doesn't even take it seriously. Because it's nothing to do with reality. It's not who that person even is. This is actually the modes of nature working. But what does the bhav bhakta see? He sees Krishna behind it. You see? He does it because the modes of nature are under the control ultimately of Krishna and his agents like this. He sees his sweet Lord. He thinks, oh, there you are. You're trying to disturb me. Oh, no. He has a whole nother relationship with the external world. He sees the Supreme Lord everywhere. Everywhere. And he has a loving relationship with the Supreme Lord. You see, with Krishna. So he does it. He just usually finds it quite amusing. Oh, you're trying to get me again. Like this. But the example that's given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is of the famous Maharaj Parikshit. This is an example of Shantir, someone who was not disturbed in the face of a reason to be very, very disturbed. Because what had happened? Maharaj Pariksit, as we know, he was a great emperor. In fact, he's a Parikar, actually. But he's playing a role of being this great king, like that. And so, one time he was out hunting, and he was very thirsty. And by Krishna's arrangement, because he was a great devotee, by Krishna's arrangement, he came to the hut of a sadhu, right, a great saint. And the sadhu was in meditation, didn't even see him. And he asked him for some water. And of course he didn't say anything or give it because he was totally in meditation, right? So by Krishna's arrangement, Maharaj Pariksit got angry. This was so out of his character. He would never do this, but Krishna wanted something. To use him as an example. So what did he do? He saw a dead snake there, and he took his bow and he put that dead snake around the neck of the great saint. And he said a few things that he probably shouldn't have said, and he went off. So when the son of this sage heard about this and saw this, he was just a young boy, and he wasn't so advanced. So he took water and he cursed Maharaj Pariksit, as we know. Cursed him to die within 7 days, wasn't it? By the bite of a snake bird. Now, even before Maharaj Pariksit had actually heard about the curse, he was already regretting what he had done. He had already realized, I had not acted properly. This is just, how could I have done this? May the reaction to this please come as quickly as possible. This was his reaction. So I can burn off all this, this unfavorable situation and my activities like this, and my attachment to my kingdom, everything like this. So then right after that he heard about the curse and he was very happy. He accepted it immediately. He immediately he was the king or the emperor of the entire world. He immediately gave it up. Immediately, 100% gave it to his son. His son. And he went to the bank of the Ganga, and he was going to sit there and fast till the snake bird came and he left his body. He said, this is just punishment for me. Just punishment. See his moods. This is Bhagavan Bhagavatam teaches us the moods, the proper moods to have in bhakti. Going back to Tatteno Kampam Sushamikshamano, we should see that this is the teachings of Lord Brahma in the 10th canto, isn't it? Chapter 17. Whatever is coming is due to our own past activities. And we go on in our service, and then we become the rightful heirs of bhakti, right? So this is Maharaj Pariksit. He was doing that. He accepted it all. He went to the banks of the Ganga and he sat, and who came? First of all the great sages and saints from all over the universe came to sit with him. They were so attracted by his bhakti. And he started asking them, what is my duty? And who came? Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev, the parrot of Srimati Radharani, incarnate, came and revealed Bhagavatam for the world. Maharaj Pariksit was the medium for Bhagavatam to descend into the world for the well-being of all of us. And so this whole pastime of Maharaj Pariksit was there to show us how we should receive the Bhagavatam, how we should receive the great saintly persons, and how we should see it all as the mercy of the Lord, and we should be very peaceful, very patient and tolerant. And what happened after 7 days, and he'd heard the entire Bhagavatam? He actually left before the snake bird even came and bit him. And when it did, then his body just burned like this, and he went back to Braja Vrindavan in Gopi Bhav. Because he's an eternal associate. But he was playing the role of a sadhak. So much teachings in the life of Maharaj Pariksit for us. So this is that shantir, this forbearance, this patience. So we have to become a bit sober. This is the thing, we're not so sober. If we were sober and things come and happen to us that we find disturbing, if we could at least just stop at that point and start to contemplate our dear friend, the Srimad Bhagavatam, or the Chaitanya Charitamrita, or the lives of any of our acharyas, and we think, oh, how would they react? What is the truth in this situation? The truth of the matter is, no one can really insult me. You know, I'm a spirit soul, they're a spirit soul. This is just the play of Maya. And she's just trying, because her service is trying to keep us here in the material world. Until a certain point, then she starts helping us to leave the material world. But at this point, her duty, that's her service to Krishna, is to keep us here. So she's going to send us all kinds of tricks, all kinds of tests. And she's much smarter than we are. Much. She's a Shakti. Maya Shakti. She's Krishna's servant, maidservant. So we shouldn't be very proud and puffed up. We should be very humble and take shelter of Sri Guru, Hari Guru and the Shastra. And start to try and actually see reality. Then this Shanti, this patience, this tolerance can come. And we just tolerate. Wow, actually, I must have done that in a past life. That's why it's coming to me. I did that. I must have done worse, probably. Okay, I just tolerate this. For the pleasure of who? Sri Guru and Gauranga. And Krishna. Let me just tolerate. And not only that, it's Maya's trick to deviate us from service, from bhajan. Because what happens when we get angry and we get disturbed? We sit in our room for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 days. That person, and we're trying to hurry. You know, we get so disturbed. We can't do our bhajan. We can barely do anything because we're just thinking, oh, how could that? You know. So it's her trick because there's two choices: Krishna or Maya. You're either serving Maya or we're serving Krishna. And we can't serve Krishna when we're disturbed. It's not possible. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam, I forget what it is, but with anger in the heart, fear in the heart, lust, you cannot serve Krishna. Not possible. Not really. You see? So when this stage comes, this Shantir, now we can practice, we can have some. But when it's fully there, then that's in the level of Bhav. So we should be very eager to attain the level of Bhav, isn't it? Because aren't we kind of tired of being disturbed and being, distracted from Krishna's seva? So that's one reason why we hear about this. So we think, oh yeah, finally when I reach Bhav, I'll be able to tolerate everything. Of course, what is another example? Prahlad Maharaj. His angry father. Normally, a father and son, there's such a beautiful relationship. But his own father was trying to kill him in so many. He was not disturbed in the slightest. So we pray for the mercy. Oh, Prahlad Maharaj, please bestow your mercy upon me. Oh, Maharaj Parikshit, please please these qualities, may they come in my heart. Please. Okay, so that's the first symptom. Okay, the second one is avarta kalatva. I'm not very good at the Sanskrit. How do you say it? Avyarta. Avyarta kalatva. That means concerned that time should not be wasted or misused. Not wasting time for 1 second. Not 1 second. In fact, this kind of person is expert in avoiding any kind of material entanglement for sense gratification. Expert. The mind cannot trick him. Expert in avoiding any kind of material engagement for sense gratification. And we're using our time exclusively. That means 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day in Krishna Bhajan. Now that's a high order. But we already learned earlier that a person in bhav, even in sleeping, even in deep sleep, Krishna's there. Even in the deepest sleep, he has spurti in the heart. You see? So he's not deviated at all in any sense, not even 1 second. I read an article once by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that was so beautiful. I'll have to rephrase it because I can't remember the exact words, but the idea was the reason why he could surrender to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji was because there wasn't even a fraction of a second where he wasn't engaged in Krishna Bhajan. He said if there'd even been one tiny fraction where he wasn't, I couldn't have surrendered. But because he was 100% engaged in Krishna Bhajan, then I could give him my life. I could surrender. Like this. So these are the persons that we're looking for. And this is what we're aiming for, isn't it? Because isn't it, like even when we go to sleep, I know I'm not dreaming about Krishna, I'm not having a spurti of Krishna. All my past samskars are whirling around there, and sometimes it's nice dreams, sometimes it's bad dreams, sometimes there's no dream. But it's pretty much a waste of time, except that at my stage, I need to be healthy so I can use my body in Krishna's service. So in that sense, taking rest is part of a lower level sadhana bhakti. Because it's practical. Our body needs to be healthy. We cannot imitate the high level devotees, like the 6 Goswamis. So sometimes they never slept at all. Sometimes a half hour, sometimes 1 hour, bas. They were too much absorbed in their seva. Yeah, as Rati Manjari, Rupa Manjari, or as Rupa Goswami chanting lakhs, offering obeisance lakhs, like this, either as Rupa Goswami or Rupa Manjari. 24 hours a day, pretty much. And if they are resting, their minds are absorbed in Krishna's seva. So that's our goal. So we pray for the mercy of the 6 Goswamis. We pray. I mean, how often do we waste time? I mean, you think about it. How often do we get sidetracked by someone saying, oh, the latest conspiracy theory. Did you hear that these people now are trying to make us have to take this vaccine and blah, 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 you know? Or did you know that, oh, yeah, Bill Gates is actually the big demon behind everything, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's really, true or not true, it doesn't even matter because it's all part of the material energy. Bill Gates' body is his conditioned body. It's not him as a soul. And all these people are getting everyone to do whatever, you know, it's just their conditioning. It's just the conditioning. And as all of our acharyas say, you cannot get away from any of this because there's sinful activities. When there's sinful activities, you have to have war. War will be there. Pestilence will be there. All these things have to be there because it's their karma. So why should we be so surprised? Why should we waste our time talking about the war in Ukraine? I mean, we may want to know it if we're from Ukraine and you don't want to fly there and, you know, you got to know what's going on. You have to be practical. And if you have to go to a country and they won't let you in because you don't have a vaccine, well, then you got to know that. Practical matters, but not for hours talking about this and that, and you know, that is actually the illusory energy. It's Maya's trick again. We should be talking about, especially at our stage, the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our acharyas, and to some extent Radha and Krishna, like this. This is where our minds should be focused. Oh, do you know that Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, in his life, did you know that, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was like this. How inspiring, you know? Or Mahaprabhu, when he was Nitai. You see just the difference in the atmosphere. One is happy, one is festive, one is gloomy, and oh dear. You know, because the gloomy side, really what happens when we get caught into the gloomy side of Maya, there's no hope. because she's bigger than us. There's no way we can defeat Maya. So when we're in Maya, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's Doomsville. Isn't it? It is. And the only way out is the Harinam. It's Krishna consciousness. There's no other way. No other way. You'll never defeat Maya, ever. It's impossible. She'll help you waste your time for lifetimes. You'll be wasting your time for lifetimes in samsara, over and over and over again. She's so intelligent. But if we take to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas and practice bhakti, then we ultimately learn how to do bhakti, and we get the desire and the eagerness, and finally we become qualified to do bhakti 24 hours a day. It's a gradual process, but we have to want it, because everything's based on desire. We get what we desire eventually. If we don't desire to be able to do bhakti like the 6 Goswamis, we won't get that. We'll stay a bhakta like, neophyte devotee on the stage of, Narta Nivriti, going around chanting Hare Krishna for how many lifetimes? Because we're kind of happy. It's what I personally called middle class Krishna consciousness. American middle class Krishna consciousness. You're very complacent, very happy kind of at the level you're at, You don't really want to, you like going to the Sunday feast. You like prasadam if it's really nice, and and you kind of like to chant Hare Krishna, but you still want to do this and you want to do that, and you need your car, and you need your hot and cold water, and you need your bathtub, and Eventually, Srila Gurudev would always tell us, Prabhupada too, but it was a different level, he would say you have to eventually become like Raghunath Das Goswami for the men, and you have to become like Ganga Mata Goswami for the women, or Janava. You have to. And it's true, and we think, oh, I can't, how? It's impossible. But really what we're saying is I don't really want to. I'd rather keep my material, Because if we understand it is possible, how are we going to go back to Godhead if we don't become like them? We do have to become like them. And our gurus can help us come to that planet. They can help us come to the level of Bhav and Prem. Going through Nishtha, Ruchi, Ashakti, by their mercy, by their spiritual strength, if we want it. And then all of a sudden we find, those anarthas have cleared. They've cleared. What a miracle. I couldn't do it myself. Oh, Gurudev, you must have done that. Oh, Vaishnava Thakur, you must have done that for me. Wow. Now I can, And finally, Nishya's there. And then, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhav, Prem, entrance into Leela, Siddhadeha. We've left the material world. Our material body is here. We've left in our Siddhadeha. We've gone back home, back to God, and we're eternally engaged in seva. It is possible. It's very possible. And that's the goal. And that's happiness. The happiness here is like, what did Mahaprabhu tell Raghunath Das Goswami? It's like a hole where people pass stool and you're a worm in that stool. We're such fools, aren't we? So anyhow, we have to, if you see someone who isn't wasting any time, that means they're at least in the level of Bhav, if not Prem. They have no desire. They have no material desire. It's finished. So what's the third symptom is virakti. Wait a minute. I wanted to give an example of number 2. A famous example is Maharaj Ambarish. See, all these great kings, even though they were great kings and they had these great kingdoms and all this wealth, family, this and that, but what did he do? What did Maharaj Ambarish do? 100% of his time, devotional service. He was always cleaning the temple, worshipping the deities, going to holy places, chanting the glories of the Lord, taking Mahaprasadam. He's famous, Maharaj Ambarish. Maharaj of the whole universe, of the whole world. He didn't care for his kingdom. He didn't care for any of that. But that was his position, so he used it in the service of Krishna. Okay, now on to number 3. Virakti, detachment from worldliness, means natural distaste for material sense enjoyment. So detachment, and natural distaste for sense enjoyment. And that means at this stage in Bhav, your ruchi for devotional service has meant that your ruchi for material sense gratification is pretty much gone. Pretty much. You have no taste, zero taste. And the example that's given for this famous example is Maharaj Bharat. Before he became the deer in Yad Bharat, but as Maharaj Bharat, he was emperor of the whole universe. Right? His father was Rishabdev, and he had 99 brothers. They were all very advanced. But he was the most advanced, and his father wanted him to be the emperor. So he was. And he had a beautiful wife. She was the most beautiful, they say, and children, everything. But when he was very young, he, of his own, gave it all up. And it says, just like giving up stool. Completely detached. And he went to the mountains to do his bhajan. Of course, there's more to the story, but that's all Leela, to teach us so many things. But as his, in his form as Maharaj Bharat, he is the example of giving up everything. Young age, left it all. So we have to pray for that higher taste. Because we can do renunciation. And renunciation is when you try to forcibly control your senses. You know? So you might have a nice husband or a nice wife or whatever, and you say, okay, I've heard that I should give this up, but you aren't really detached, but you force away, so then you leave and you go and try and do something, but actually you're thinking about it because you're still attached. There's still affection. But Maharaj Bharat, no attachment, zero, no affection, zero, because he had already developed his deep attraction and affection for Krishna. When you have your attraction for Krishna, everything else is... Anyhow, nothing belongs to us. We're not this body. We're a spirit soul. Everything belongs to Krishna. His wife is Krishna's. His universe, his empire was Krishna's. Everything was Krishna's. It wasn't his anyhow. And he just simply wanted to do his seva. Like this. This is real detachment. When there's no affection, no material affection. We can have affection in that, oh, there's someone dear to Krishna. Like that, as a devotee, as a spirit soul. That's okay. But not, oh, my wife, my husband, my children, my country, my this, my car. No, nothing. Only, oh, I can use that in Krishna's seva. That's real detachment. Real detachment. We see everything in relationship to Krishna. Okay, now the fourth symptom, manna sunyata, free from pride, completely humble, the absence of false ego, and it's not just like me. I could say, oh yeah, I'm this and this, because I really am. But this is no false ego when you really have all good qualities, like Rupa Goswami. He had all good qualities. He's Rupa Manjari. He's born in a high-class family. He's Rupa Goswami, but he's feeling so humble. No false ego. Zero. So in the face of having all good qualities, good lineage, wealth, they were so wealthy. Sant Goswami, they were so wealthy. And they had high posts in the Muslim government, but they gave it all up. They had no false ego. Nothing. Even though they could have, because they were very learned, very beautiful. They had everything. But no, they give it all up. No false ego. And so, there's a story that's given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu about this. The example is from the Padma Purana. And this is an example of King Bhagirath. Now, I'm not sure if this is the Bhagirath that brought the Ganga or it's a different Bhagirath, because it doesn't sound like that, but his name is King Bhagirath. And it says that he had a great big kingdom. His kingdom was so big and all the prominent kings were serving him. But after a while, Krishna Bhakti arose in his heart. And when Krishna Bhakti arose in his heart, what happened? He gave it all up. And he was so prideless that he would maintain his life by begging in the cities of his enemies. He would even go to the cities of his enemies and beg. And even if he was insulted, he didn't care. He was so humble and prideless. Even though he'd had everything, he had all qualities, he just made himself by begging and getting insulted. Can we do that? Yes, that's manasunyata. And so now number 5, we're moving on. We're going up. Ashabandha. Ashabandha is firm hope in receiving Bhagavan's mercy. That means we're never hopeless. Now that's a big one, because most of us, we have a tendency to be very hopeless. And why? Because we're identifying as a material body. We're identifying, and we're misidentifying Krishna. We don't understand Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy is there. It's raining on everyone, from Brahma down to the insignificant ant. It's going everywhere, even to us, And so, why should we think that we aren't going to be able to have his mercy? Because we don't really want his mercy. See, we always have to understand it's all based on desire. If we really want his mercy, it will come. And also we think, oh, I'm too fallen. I can't go back to Godhead in one lifetime. What to speak of 10 lifetimes? It's going to take, because I'm too fallen. But is that understanding who Krishna is? And who we really are? We're spirit souls. We're not this conditioning. Krishna can, just like in Mahaprabhu's time, he's Krishna himself in the mood of Radharani. What happened? Jagai and Madai are much more fallen than we are. In 1 second they got prem. 1 second. So if we have the actual faith in Krishna and understand who he is and what he can give, then we'll have unwavering faith. Our faith will, yes, surely. Now I just have to want it. Let me want to become qualified to receive Bhav and Prem. Let me want to receive my spiritual body, to attain Bhav Bhakti, Prem Bhakti. Please, Krishna, I know you can help me. Gurudev, I know you can help me. Vaishnavas, Vrindavan Dham. But we don't want it. And we let Maya trick us. She says, oh, no, we think, oh, no. Gurudev's looking at everybody in the audience but me. He doesn't like me, and oh, me, and he's not giving me any mercy, and I'm so sick, and I have no money, and certainly I'll probably die in the street as a beggar, This is those tricks of Maya. The trick of Maya. If we have so much faith, look at Lalita Priya. She was in Ukraine and the war broke out. She had no money, nothing. And by her faith, she got herself out of Ukraine. She had no money. And she got herself back to Vrindavan. She didn't do it. Krishna did it. Because she had faith in Krishna. There you go. Now she's become a refugee. She doesn't have to worry about, Haribo. Because of faith. That's a small thing, But it's a big thing. I've become a citizen of India. I don't even speak Hindi. I just had nothing, I'm so useless. It's like Haribo. Because I knew Prabhupada, he could do it. He can open all doors. That happened to me once also. I might have told this story before, when I went to Nepal to get a new visa, and it was impossible. And I got a 5-year student visa in an impossible time when they were only giving 6 months tourist visas. Prabhupada did it. Gurudev did it. We have to understand who they are and the power. These are powerful spiritual personalities. If we want it, then they can help it happen. But if they don't want it, that's something different. They'll do it in their time. We have to, just like with Maharaj Pariksit, he surrendered to the Leela. For him it was Leela, to the situation, because the Bhagavatam was supposed to descend. He surrendered, okay. He didn't ask Krishna to save him from the snake bird bite. No. He could have himself actually, what do you call it? What's the word when you can stop the curse? Counteract. He could have counteracted. He's that powerful. He didn't have, because that little Brahmin boy is nothing. He could have counteracted the curse, but he didn't. He let it come. He surrendered to Krishna. Okay, I've done this as my. You see, like this. So like this. We surrender to Krishna. What does he want? He wants us to go back home, back to Godhead, as more than we want to go. He wants us to attain prema. He wants us to attain our rightful heritage, which is our relationship with him, our unmanifest potential. He wants that. He wants bhav to manifest. He wants prema and for it to mature into prema. He doesn't want us to stay here and get a good husband and get a good wife, or have really, raw food, prasadam diet, because we think, whatever it is that, we're stuck on, or this or that, whatever it is. It's so petty. He wants us to attain prema. Everything else is superfluous, you see? So that has to be our goal. That's why Srila Narayana Maharaj always says, set your goal, Radha Dasyam. Everything else will come along, whatever diet you need from Mahaprasadam. Because Prabhupada did say, until we're Mahabhagatas, we do have to discriminate a bit or we'll get sick. But we have to be careful. That's a what do you call it? That's a subordinate thing. That's not the main goal. Like this. The main goal is Radha Dasyam. So we have to have that hope. It is possible because our whole Guru Parampara are maidservants of Srimati Radhika. They can give that bhav because that bhav is in their heart. We have to want it. We have to think that it's possible. And it's just like the example that we talked about before, like the poor drunkard in the gutter. And he sees a beautiful lady go by and he can't help it. He thinks, oh wow, I wish I could enjoy with her. I wish I could marry her. He has absolutely no qualification, but it's a spontaneous thing because he sees this beautiful lady. He doesn't consider, I'm just this drunkard laying in the gutter. No. So we have to forget about our disqualifications, our conditioning. We have to think of our qualification, which is we're a spirit soul, we're covered, we have a potential. May my potential become a manifest reality as soon as possible. That hope. Krishna, Gurudev, I need your mercy. My potential cannot be manifest without your mercy. And I know you want to do it. Somehow let me please you. Let me please you so you want to manifest my potential. Just like the baby calf. When the baby calf's and the mother cow is there. When the calf comes, the mother's udder just flows with milk. Cannot stop the milk. You see? We want that. When Gurudev sees us, Prabhupada, they all see us, their mercy just it's flooding down. Wow, she's trying so hard, and it's so hard for her. My gosh, she's really trying. He's really trying. They don't care if we can't do it perfectly. That doesn't matter. It's that we want to be able to please them. We want to be able to do it. Because we're talking about entering the world of prema, which begins with a world of bhav, and it actually is always bhav. This is a world of bhav. See, we're used to a world of material energy and material nature where it's inanimate objects. right? And we're kind of this robot person there going around, But in Bob, they don't really see that, oh, she kind of sang off tune a bit, and oh, she put too much salt in the, like that. They see, oh, she's trying to please me. She was trying to sing. Oh, she was trying to cook. They're accepting the Bob. So we need to have that Bob of, oh, whatever we're doing, we're trying to please Shri Guru and Krishna with some affection. And we're hoping that one day we'll be trained to do it properly, so we won't put too much salt in or sing off tune or whatever. But even sometimes those things are there and they make for Ras in the spiritual world. Where was I reading? I think it was in Srila Gurudev's commentary somewhere. And he was talking about when the new manjaris come. It's from the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, where Narottam is saying, when will Lokanath Goswami take me to Rupa, like this, and he's become a new manjari. And Gurudev was saying that actually, our Guru Saki will be training us, let's say combing the hair or something. And so then we get a chance to do it, and we may not do it quite right, and then the Guru Saki will correct us. But actually, when we're doing it wrong, sometimes Radha and Krishna really like that. And they laugh and they think it's very funny. This is the land of Bhav, where it's affection. This is a land of affection. We want to go there. So we need to be prideless. We need to have so much hope, like this. We need to be detached from, like this. We're desiring to go to a whole different dimension. It's not this world of, lust, anger, greed, up, down with, material dimension. No. We're talking Bhav. It's a fluid, it's very fluid, like that. And all it takes is Prem Bhav. So in the level of Bhav, Prem is just coming, the sprout is coming. But it's that affection that's the most important thing. And how can we have affection if we don't have complete faith, hope? Not possible. Sometimes you might get angry at Krishna then. Oh, why'd you do that? Oh, Krishna, you don't love me. Oh, No, Krishna's sweet. He's everything he does. What's that Madhurya? Everything he does is sweet. Mm-hmm. And if he's sweet, then we would always have hope. So, in this connection, let's see here. There's a beautiful poem from Vilap Kusumanjali that is quoted about having hope. And this is really, really nice. Where are my glasses? Oh, here are my glasses. Let's just quote it. It's so beautiful. This is verse 102 in Vilap Kusumanjali of Raghunath Das Goswami. It's a very famous verse. I can't say the Sanskrit, so I'll just read the English. You can look it up for the Sanskrit, 102. Oh, Varohu Radha. And that means one who has beautiful thighs. It is rare to fulfill my hope. It is as rare to fulfill my hope as it is to attain an ocean of nectar. But I pass my days, this is Raghunath Das Goswami, greatly longing to fulfill it. Now you must give mercy to this poor, unhappy person. What to speak of my life? Everything, my residing in Braj and even my service to Krishna is useless without your mercy. But I'm sure I will get your mercy. So Raghunath Das Goswami, even though he's a perfected soul, he came to show us the way. He's showing the way of a Bhav Bhakta, of a Sadak, Raganuga Sadak. Always hopeful. But what are we hopeful for? The mercy of Srimati Radhika and her Sakis. Like this. And Krishna too. They pray to Krishna. Why? Oh, Krishna, please give me your mercy so that Srimati Radhika will accept me. Like this. They pray like this so many times. So I think it's getting late here. 5 minutes? Okay, so we will go on to the next. Actually, I'm going to read one more in this connection because we're almost finished here. Of Rupa Goswami. These are such famous prayers, actually. I remember hearing about them even when I was over there in ISKCON, Los Angeles. And they're so beautiful, Rupa Goswami, in regards to hope. And let's see if I can find it here. No, that's not it. Where is it? Okay, and it must be this one. Oh, here we go. The first one is, this is from Stavamala. Both of them are from Stavamala. This is really beautiful. O Dinabandhu, that means the friend of the most fallen, the Bandhu, the intimate bosom friend of the fallen. Rupa Goswami is calling out to Dinabandhu, Krishna. Whether the clouds pour down a shower of water upon the thirsting Chataka birds, or hurl lightning bolts at them. You know, a Chataka bird only waits for rain, a certain rain from a certain Swati nakshatra. It will only take water from that particular nakshatra, which is a astrological formation of the stars. So the bird is just waiting for that particular rain. And he's saying, even if this thirsty Chataka bird is there and there's no water, or the cloud is pouring down lightning bolts at them, the Chatak bird never tires of asking the clouds, of waiting for the clouds, for they have no other recourse. Similarly, whether you are merciful to me or punish me, I have no support in this world other than you. You may do with me as you like. So he's just waiting for that rain, for that mercy to come. He says, I have no other recourse. So you do as you like. And then the second one that comes right after that is this one. O slayer of Aghasura, Aghahara, when I hear of the extremely rigorous sadhana and bhajan undertaken by great souls like Sri Sukha and Maharaj Ambarish, here we go, in former times, my heart, which is devoid of any trace of bhakti, becomes stricken with remorse and hopelessness because such difficult sadhana and bhajan will never be possible for me. Thus I feel that I will never be able to obtain your lotus feet. But, here we go, this asaba. But when I see the waves of mercy you have diffused everywhere from Brahma down to the most heinous sinners, my heart becomes pacified again and instilled with a ray of hope. That's called Asha Bindu. Bindu is just a drop. He becomes filled with Asha Bindu, just a drop of hope. So this is our Adi Guru, Rupa Goswami. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful prayers of Rupa Goswami. So we want to be like the Chatak bird. We want to be following the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. And always be hopeful. Why not? Because why? Also, because we're in the Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement. And who's Akhanda Guru Tattva? And who's there for everyone? Nitai. Nitai. He says, just depend on me and I will be responsible for everything. Just depend on me and I will take care of everything for you. So we should take care of Nitai and Sri Guru like that. They will take care of everything. We just, what do we have to do? Surrender, hear their instructions, follow their instructions to the best we can. We may not do it very well, but we try. So we try and follow their program. We try and go to Mangalarti. We try and chant Hare Krishna. We try and distribute books or whatever it is, make the books or make flower garlands, whatever it is. Okay? Jai Vanchakalpataruscha Kripa Sindhu Bhavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Jai Sri Guru Rangavan Radhika Giridhari Radhika Raman ki
Jai.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaurathayunda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaurathayunda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Gandharika Giridhari, Gandharika Giridhari, Gandharika Giridhari Radhe, Jaya Gandharika Giridhari, Gandharika Giridhari Radhe, Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya Govardhana, Jaya Giriraya, Govardhana, Jaya Giriraya, Jaya Govardhana, Jaya Giriraja, Govardhana, Jaya Giriraja, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Ho.